Ken Dilanian, remind us how much of what we're talking about and witnessing is Manafort's own doing from the start.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, look, first of all, you know, when Paul Manafort came to the Trump campaign, I heard people portray him today as this master genius that they needed to corral delegates. The only client that he had was a Russian-backed Ukrainian oligarch. That's what he had been doing. That's what was exposed in his trial, that he was essentially out of the political game. He hadn't run a Republican campaign in years. So he had devoted his life to flacking for this Russian-backed Ukrainian politician who essentially was opposed to American interests. I've talked to people in the intelligence community who believe that Manafort was essentially a Russian asset, if not in name, in function, because he was doing the bidding of Vladimir Putin. And he was enriching himself while he was doing it. And you know, he could have just taken the many millions of dollars that he was paid by these Ukrainians and just lived a nice life. But instead, he chose to massively evade taxes by routing all this money through foreign bank accounts in Cyprus. So this is entirely of his doing. And he lived a great life. I mean, the $10,000 suits, we all saw the ostrich jackets, the manicured landscaping, the house, the homes in the Hamptons and elsewhere. So, you know, no one should shed a tear for Paul Manafort in the sense that he profited from his crimes, and now he's paying the price.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.